Hi, I'm Lori Woods. I'm an ESL instructor at Cuyamaca College in El Cajon, California. And our class is reading Same Sun Here by Silas House and Mila Vashwani. So I'm going to start reading from the beginning and help you guys out. I want you to read along in your book. So listen to what I'm saying, and follow along in your book. So everybody open your book up. We're going to start with the very beginning. We talked about already in class that this book is written by two pen pals. So we're going to read the very first letter that the first pen pal wrote. So this is on page 1. August 2nd, 2008. Dear River. So River is the name of the person that this person is writing to. I cannot tell from your name if you are a boy or a girl. So I will just write to you like you are a human being. You are the first American I know whose name means something. So I think maybe you are not from this country. We'll see. Where is River from? My brother says you are. He says all people in Kentucky are Americans, not like in New York City. So River must be from Kentucky, and the person who's writing the letter must be from New York City. And we saw that on the cover here. We have the picture down here of New York City. So this must be over here. This must be Kentucky. My brother is 17 years old. He has a big smile and strong legs because he is a bike messenger. All the girls love him, which makes him very conceited. Personally, I don't think the girls would love him anymore if they had to pick his smelly socks up off the floor like I do. When I first came here, I didn't like New York, but my brother helped me find appreciation by telling me interesting things. For example, did you know there's a curse on the Brooklyn Bridge? When my brother looks at something, he sees how it works. He is like that about things like skyscrapers. This is a skyscraper right here, skyscraper, tall buildings, and subways. Next year, he will be a student at CUNY, some school. He wants to make a great invention so he can go to MIT for free, a very good school. He may have smelly feet, but he is still my favorite human being. I say human being because I have a favorite dog. His name is Cuba, and a favorite parakeet. Her name is Zizi. You know what goes with rivers? Fish. My name is Mina, and that means fish. So the person who's writing the letter, their name is Mina. I am 12 years old. I like to run up and down the stairs of our building, and I can go all 5 flights without stopping. I like to feed pigeons, even though it's against the law. And I like to read books from the Seward Park Library, which is 8 blocks from here. This week, I borrowed A Tree Grows in Brooklyn, a novel, which is a book, by Betty Smith. I am on page 92, and it is sad and very exciting. I think you're like me and don't have a computer, since your name was on the snail mail list. I could go to the library and send you an email from my brother's Yahoo, but the line is always long, and you only get half an hour, and I type very slow like a turtle. Kiku, that is what we call my brother, but his real name is Karan, has a computer, but he always keeps it with him in his backpack. Anyway, I'm used to writing letters because my grandmother doesn't have a phone, and I'm reading in my book about a girl named Francie who lived in 1912 when there were no computers. I have decided that I want to be like her. I wonder what you look like. I am short and skinny. This is a good thing for squeezing on the subway. But I would rather be like Kiku's secret girlfriend, Anna Maria, who is so pretty she stops traffic. I do think my hair is nice. It is long and black like Anna Maria's, but hers is curly and mine is straight. I guess I should tell you more about myself. I was born in India in a town called Mussoorie, in the youngest and highest mountains in the world. Mussoorie is the most beautiful place I have ever seen. Everywhere you look, there is mountain and sky, and some days we are lost in the clouds. The trees are always full of birds with clear voices and monkeys with long tails and bad tempers. So you can tell India is very different than New York City. Okay, now we're on page 4. Page 4. When I was 9 years old, Daddy, my grandmother, brought me to New Delhi. So she calls her grandmother Daddy, the capital of India, on the train. It took 8 hours to get there. Then we went to the airport and I flew to America by myself. That took 22 hours with the stopover in Germany. I felt cold and sick in my stomach the whole entire time. I think if human beings were meant to fly around the sky, we would have been born with wings. Mom and Daddy and Kiku have been in America 9 years. They got here 2 years before September 11th. They left Mussoorie when I was 3 years old. It took them a long time to save enough money to bring me over. And I did not recognize them at the airport. It was strange to look in all the faces and not know if any of the people were my mother or father. I came here on the H-4 visa. That means I can't work, but I can go to school. Daddy says I should always tell Americans about my visa so they don't think I'm illegal. This year, my parents will apply for naturalization. They just got their I-551 alien registration cards in the mail. So in about a year, maybe they will be citizens. You should see the amount of papers and phone calls it takes to become an American. Mom says it's like having another job. I think it's funny that we have alien cards as if we come from outer space. I promise I don't have any antennae on my head. I am 100% Homo sapiens. Daddy says soon we can bring Daddy, the grandmother, over to this side. I do not think she will come. I do not think she could wake up in the mornings if the mountains were not there. In New York, the buildings are like mountains in some ways, but they're only alive because people living in them. Real mountains are alive all over. Have you ever been to New York City? It's hot and smelly in the summertime. Our street smells like dog pee and garbage. Everything bakes on the pavement, and there are so many tourists, you can't take a step without someone asking you for directions. I love to walk around and look at everything and everyone. I love to ride the subway. especially the 7 train, because it pops above ground in Queens. We live in Chinatown on the corner of Orchard and Hester. The F train on Delancey is very nearby. Every Friday afternoon, I take the laundry to the Suds-O-Rama in my neighbor Miss Lau's little red cart. She gives me clothes for the machine, and in trade, I do her laundry with ours. She is 72 years old and has hard times getting up and down the stairs. My mom takes care of 2 little children, 1 boy, 1 girl, on the Upper West Side. She is their nanny. Our family doesn't have a nanny or a maid, so I do all the laundry. I hate dragging the big bag up and down the stairs, but if I didn't do it, none of us would have clean clothes. This is what I tell myself every Friday. I do the laundry on Friday afternoons before Mom comes home so that we have time for fun on the weekends when she doesn't have to go away. Daddy works in a big restaurant in New Jersey. It's 30 miles away from here, but in New York, it takes 2 hours to go 30 miles because of all the traffic. Daddy rides a bus home 1 weekend a month. And even then, he is tired, but he tries to pretend that he isn't, and he takes us out somewhere nice to have a good time. Mom always cries when he packs, and when it's time for him to go, he has to pull her fingers away from his arm to rush out the door. Even though we live on the corner, it's quiet on the 5th floor because we are high above the street. We live in a 1-bedroom apartment with rent control. We have 5 windows, and 2 of them have a view onto Orchard Street. The other 3 windows face shaftways where there are piles of stinky garbage. It's dark in the apartment except in the bedroom where the sun reaches. Since it is summer, the sun goes across the bed from 1 to 3 p.m. Mom says Orchard Street is depressing. She says India is better for her and Daddy, but here is better for me and Kiku. When Daddy comes home, I sleep on the couch and Kiku sleeps on the cot. When Daddy is away, Mom and I share the bed and Kiku sleeps on the couch. I want to get a job and help like Kiku does, but Mommy says not till I'm older. I want to make money so I can always help keep my family together and so I can get them a dishwasher and an air conditioner. Right now, I am sitting on the fire escape where I can see the street and all the cars and the tops of people's heads on a little square of blue sky between the buildings. It's so hot today that the delis on Delancey have brought their flowers inside. Mrs. Lau, who has the New York 1 channel, says there is a smog alert. That means the air is not clean today. If I lean over the railing, I can see the pagoda trees. There are 4 on our side of the street. I know they are pagoda trees because the middle one has a tiny sign nailed to the trunk that says pagoda tree. This morning, all of the trees let go of their flowers. Pagoda flowers look white on the tree, but when they fall onto the pavement, they look yellow and yellowy green. Just a few hours ago, I helped Mrs. Lau down the stairs and we swept up the yellow petals in front of our building. Swish, swish, swish went our brooms up and down the street. Cuba, remember Cuba's the dog, sat on the stoop and watched. He is old now. And when I walk him, I don't have to use a leash. He stays close to me. If he gets ahead, he stops and waits at the corner. Cuba is black except for a white star on his chest. He gets very hot in the sun and he's thick fur. Today he lay on the steps panting with his tongue hanging to the pavement and his body going fast, up and down, up and down, up and down. When the ice cream man drove by, Mrs. Lau flagged him down by waving her handkerchief. She brought me a raspberry ice. The man also gave us a little bowl of water for Cuba, and I put it in front of him. He wagged his tail to say thank you. He has the prettiest brown eyes and very good manners. I gave him the last bit of my ice cream because he looked at me like he wanted to taste it. I guess maybe he hypnotized me. You know how dogs can do that? Kiku calls it canine mind control. After sweeping, we sat on the stoop and watched all the people walking by, and Mrs. Lau told stories. One story she told was about how Cuba got his name. Guess how? Okay, since this is a letter, I'll just tell you. She named him after the country her best lover came from. She said he's been dead for 30 years, but she still misses him. Isn't that funny and kind of sweet? Mrs. Lau has been in America twice as long as she was ever in Hong Kong. So Mrs. Lau is Chinese. She has lived in her apartment for 55 years in New York. She says New York Chinatown is home. In 6 years, I will have been in America for the same number of years as India. I still miss the mountains every day. By the way, I used to speak English more like a British person because that is how we do it in India. But when I came to the States, Kiku taught me how to talk like an American. I wonder how you got your name. Here's a picture I drew of Mrs. Lau and Cuba on the stoop. I don't usually talk this much unless I've had a Coca-Cola. Usually I'm quiet, but you're easy to talk to, River. My hand really hurts, and I bet if you're still reading that your eyes are hurting too. My brother is looking over my shoulder now and saying that I wrote too much, and you probably won't write me back because you'll think I'm a crazy person. But he is a big dummy and smelly too, which is not surprising because he's wearing his Obama for President t-shirt for the third day in a row. He is completely obsessed with the election and goes around quoting Obama all the time, like a lunatic. I hope you do not think I'm a crazy person. It is very nice to meet you, River. I hope you are having lots of good fun in Kentucky, and I hope you will write and tell me about yourself. Your hopefully pen pal, Mina Joshi. P.S. My brother says there was a famous movie star who died a long time ago with your name. Is that true? P.P.S. We live 5 blocks away from the East River in New York City. Do you live near a river too? Also, what kind of music do you like? So that is the first letter in our book, Same Sun Here. That letter was written by Mina, and she wrote that letter to River. And that was a long letter. So that's our first letter, and I hope you enjoyed reading that first letter. I'm going to turn us off.